Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Eric.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Big week last week. Halloween. Twice over.
Yeah, I served Dennis Graham two ways. I was
Right.
Drake's dad.
Formal and casual.
Yeah, and
Okay. New story.
new story. We thought we were going to tell the Halloween thing, but we have to do this really quickly before, I guess, our apartment gets taken over. So here we go.
So we were just here and we were recording this intro and the doorbell rang. We opened the door. We weren't expecting anybody here. It was our super and he was standing there with a plumber and they looked inside and they said, yes, this is the one. And apparently there is a leak downstairs in the apartment right below us and mold. So shout out to the building's new ownership.
Yeah.
And they are coming right back up here with tools to go into our wall.
And blow this shit out.
So, number one, thank God we recorded this episode today,
Yeah.
this morning.
And that this didn't happen when Yvette was here.
That would be really bad.
Yeah.
But I guess good in terms of the
mold getting taken care of?
great
Eradicated?
for our neighbors downstairs.
And by the way, we knew this was happening.
Well, the floor was buckling, and I told our super, like last week, I said, hey, something's not right with the floor. You know, you walk on the same floor for 10 years. When the floor is buckling, you can tell just the slightest, difference.
Yeah.
So
We need to get out of here before they blow out our wall.
right. So a few things just to mention real quick. Number one, please go vote tomorrow. Tomorrow is election day. This is super important. Don't be stupid. Don't sit home. Don't be inactive. Go vote and vote blue. Vote Democratic. Don't be stupid. Okay? That's number one. Number two.
Fuck mold.
Yes, we are not on the side of mold.
Yeah. Mold is on the wrong side of history.
Vote no mold.
Yeah.
Number three, please go to ItsTheReal.com/shop right now. Grab an It's The Real t-shirt, an AKA t-shirt, a Rockefeller t-shirt, a Rough Riders t-shirt. Grab a rhyme book. Support your boys, It's The Real. Let's keep this pirate ship moving in the right direction. Number four. Today on the podcast, we have Yvette Noel-Schure, she's a superhuman being.
Yeah.
But the super publicist for people like Beyonce, Destiny's Child, John Legend, Adele, a whole host of people.
Oh, I just realized I didn't get to do my Adele impression for Yvette.
Oh, but do you want to do it right now?
Thank you.
You know what, Jeff? Perfect.
No, wait.
Perfect landing.
Please call me Adele, first of all.
Perfect execution.
Thank you.
Jeff only saves that for when we travel to England.
Anywhere. When I go anywhere, I'll do it. Yvette is somebody who has worked with some of the biggest names in the music industry, but we're so excited to be able to tell her story.
Yeah, she's someone who has overcome all the odds again and again and again. Whether it was her as a young mother in college trying to make a career for herself, whether that was moving from being an editor at a publication into the field of music publicity, or whether it was dealing with the aftermath of her home burning down at 11 o'clock in the morning.
But also just the fact that she is a small town girl from Grenada and then coming through to Brooklyn where she gets bullied and, surviving a bunch of different things that a lot of people might have put them more into their shell. She was the one who burst out.
Yeah. So shout out to Yvette for coming over and sharing her story, and hopefully you guys get a lot of inspiration and
Yeah, I think that we got to go.
Yep, there it is again. All right, we are just all over the place. There's about to be construction, but we're going to recommend 3 podcasts for you to listen to. Jeff, which ones are they?
Number 128, Nadeska Alexis.
Shout out to Nadeska, who was out in Cleveland with us when we went to the Jay and Beyonce tour, and she's just an amazing person who you guys know from Everyday Struggle, but she has this long career before that in journalism and behind the scenes, and she's just such a dope person, and we were thrilled to hear her whole story as well.
Number 77, Sherry Bryant.
Shout out to Sherry Bryant, who's now over at Alamo Records, which you guys know from Smoke Perp and Bear and some other people, but she is long tenured in this business, having worked at Rockefeller at 16 years old, and later for MMG over at Atlantic and Warner with their whole deal there. She's an incredible executive. She has such an inspirational story, and shout outs to Sherry Bryant.
Number 194, Brian Nolan.
Shout out to Brian Nolan, who now is working at Capitol Records out there on the West Coast, but he did have a long career over at Columbia, worked with everyone from J. Cole to 3-6 Mafia, and he's just the greatest dude from Silver Spring, Maryland, the greatest dude, period, and had an amazing story to tell.
Actually, what are your guys' names?
Yuli?
Yoli?
Yes. Abero.
Abero?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys.
Yeah, shout out to Yoli and Abero, who are currently
sawing through a wall. Jeff, when do you want to get into this episode?
Right now.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. Cruise Control, a.k.a. Keep It 100.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Couple Screws Loose, a.k.a. IKEA Furniture.
I'm not that good, but okay, do I do that too?
Yeah.
Yo! It's Yvette Noel-Schure, a.k.a. the Nice Beast, David's wife, Michael Mika and Milan's mommy.
Yeah.
Grenadian princess.
Yeah! This is your third favorite podcast to waste time with It's The Real. Yvette, what's happening?
I am so good.
Oh my God, we are so happy to see
happy
you.
to be here with you guys. Oh my God, one of my favorite podcasts.
You know, we got that email from you and your team inviting us out to Cleveland for the first night of the U.S. leg of On the Run 2. And we thought we were being spammed. Like, this is catfishing.
Scam,
this is fishing for our information. There's no way this was true. Getting onto that plane, we still had our doubts. We didn't know that this was a real thing. When we got to Cleveland, it still took a while for us to see anybody we knew.
Then we saw Elliott Wilson, and we were like, okay,
All
so
right.
it's just the three of us?
Yeah. and then once we stepped foot in that stadium, it was real. We met you. You were wonderful beyond even comprehension. And we had the best time. And you know what else?
Still aren't sure how we ended up in this like small group, because it was only like 10 or 15 people, right?
And afterwards too, you did mention, you were like, listen, Daytwan, you meant so much because you gave Beyonce her first cover, and Nadeska, you mean so much because you're from Grenada, and then Elliot, and there were all these, lines you could draw to each person, and we were like, no, there's nothing here. This is like,
Well, actually, there was. I'm going to give him all the credit. So we have a COO, president and COO, who is a Morehouse man, well-educated, businessman who is also a DJ.
oh, all right.
And he loves music, worked in banking before he came to Parkwood, but is a huge music fan and listens to a lot of podcasts and looks for the best. And he's the one that turned us on to you guys. And it was just really, really important we had come back from such an amazing sort of elevation from the European leg. And it was really important that some key people, and it really was not about reviews, because that's a whole different thing. You just sort of, you get the press list, you coordinate it, and you send out, and you don't know. But it was just really important that there were people like you, like Elliot, who live in this culture, and we wanted to make sure that you saw the first show. It was really great.
I'm getting goosebumps
But
right
Steve,
now.
it's
but-
all Steve.
No.
I don't take credit for being fly.
Well, no, but
Yo, shouts to Steve. Thanks for being a
shouts to
loyal
Steve.
listener. Yeah.
But I do want to say this too. There were no expectations from you guys. You said
No,
we
no,
stepped
none
out that bus and you
whatsoever.
said, "Have a great time."
That's right.
Yeah.
Free
Right.
reign and enjoy.
But
And
we thought it was like Wyoming or something where you would fly like, 300 people out. Or like, I was on the Rihanna plane. And so like, we thought that this was this group thing.
It
And then we
was
saw
not.
nobody on the other
Yeah.
planes. We saw nobody at the hotel.
and
I heard the hotel was really nice.
Oh
it
my
was.
God, it
Wait,
was
where
the
did you
best.
stay? I bet your hotel was nicer.
I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it
it was-
because I saw photos of yours and I was like, okay, I'm jealous.
we had a really nice time. So thank you very much for that.
Of course.
Where are you originally from?
I was born in Grenada.
Where in Grenada?
Grenada. I was born in Birch Grove, which is a lake village. It's right under Granitan Lake, which is the most beautiful and serene place. I try to go back every time I visit. And I was born into a family of self-employed people. My grandparents owned a lot of lands. We call it lands. And had nutmegs on their lands, which at the time I was growing up was a huge export to the UK. And so that's how my grandfather made his money. And he had a supermarket where I got most of my training and where I learned how to deal with people and where I learned how to be kind. And
And you would actually, you would go to the supermarket.
Oh, yeah.
For
Every day.
for the entire town.
Oh, well, okay. So we had the supermarket in the village in Birch Grove. And then I would go to the massive supermarket. You think yours is big until you go to the massive supermarket that's next to the bay. And they get all the goods coming in from Europe and coming in from Trinidad and other islands. So I would have to go shopping for our store, which at the time was one of three. Can you imagine? I was helping to feed the town,
Oh
make
my
sure
God.
they had stuff, because there are a lot of people who, I don't want to go down in town. I just want to go to Mr. Vivi shop. So I would go. I was between 8 and 10. My grandfather would send me with thousands of EC dollars, which I didn't know. I didn't know. He just said, take the bag and don't open it and give it to the man by the bay. So that's what I did.
And you did.
That's what I did, yeah. And,
How
as
would
I
you get
grew
everything
up,
back?
So we had these buses. If you go to Google and you look like Grenadian wooden buses from the 70s, you see they're wooden buses. And so they would do these treks back and forth between my village and town. And somewhere in the middle there would be a ride just for little Yvette. So I would go back to the market and tell him, no cell phones, go back to the market and tell Mr. Fred that I'm ready. And he would come to the bay and take and load up all the seats, load up the back, load up everything, and take a solo ride with me back up to my grandfather.
And just hope that you didn't forget like anything.
Oh, I was good. My grandfather trained me well. I still, to this day, make a list, write it in black and scratch it out in red.
Wow.
I still, to this day, I would go through everything with Mr. Bola at the bay. We've got the sugar, we've got the saltfish, we've got the this, we've got, okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I would do it because, when I went back home, I realized that the supermarket I grew up in was really not as big as I thought. But the fact that everybody in our village was coming there, and you didn't go through the aisles, there were no aisles, it was a counter. And all of the stuff was piled up. And you would give me your list, and then I would fill the list. And I would write next to what you got, the price. And then with one line of 35 items, I would need to count it without a cash register and give you your proper change. My grandfather taught me how to do that.
Are
as
you
well.
from a big family?
Huge, massive, to the point of I truly confess that I think I have some nieces and nephews that I have to double check their names.
Oh, really?
Because they're,
Put them on the list.
Yeah,
cross
yeah.
them off
With
in
red,
red.
red,
Yeah.
my brother has 10 children.
Wow.
My one brother has 10 children. It's a lot. It's a lot of cousins.
It's a lot of birthdays.
I know about 100 cousins maybe that I'm really close to.
Oh my God.
At family
Yeah.
reunions, do you guys all have matching T-shirts?
No. It's such an American thing. The first time I saw it, I was like, wow, what are they doing? I saw them at Disney. There was like hundreds of people. What's going on? No, we just sort of get together, usually in somebody's basement in Brooklyn, and you just take out all the furniture and we just wind down. Yes.
So it was your job to go and get everything for the supermarket.
Yeah.
And were you thinking that was going to be your line of work, that you would sort of continue
Yeah.
in the supermarket?
Yeah, I mean, I thought early that I would do that, but do something else. I saw my grandfather do several things. He had his farm, he had his store. He did, on Thursdays, he played the man who did the tours of Grenada. He went to the ships. He got the tourists. He showed them what a nutmeg looked like. He showed them where the lake was. He was a multitasker. So I never thought that's all I would do. But I was thrilled to, in my mind, in my very small mind, as a little girl, think that I could take over my grandfather's business because he had trained me so well. But I had a fascination with words. I used to love to read, and I used to love to read the Sunday reading at church. And I loved what happened when your voice sort of hit the top of the church, and okay. And I just love that. So even when I was imagining taking over my grandfather's business, I also imagined being a writer. Yeah, which was weird for everybody in my family because they were
Why?
like, what is up with that child? Because we became doctors and nurses and teachers and lawyers, but
But not creative fields?
No, absolutely not. I mean, to the day my father died, he didn't know what a publicist was. He just said, "Can you pay your bills? And why do your clients need a spokesperson? They can't speak for themselves." So yeah, it's just a very traditional Catholic Caribbean family.
And there was a lot of tourism at that point,
Oh,
or
gosh,
because now
yes.
there's a lot. But
Sadly,
Yeah.
I'm one of those Grenadians that's probably not as thrilled.
Yeah.
I'll talk
Well, stop
to you
making it
about
sound
that.
so good.
Well, Grenada is my heart, and I think Grenada is a gem. And I think often the islands tend to market to bring in more dollars without thinking about preserving the gem. Grenada is doing a good job of it, but I it's such a small island. I would hate to see it turn into like a twerking contest on the beach kind of thing.
Yeah.
When I was growing up in Grenada, I kind of knew that it was a special place because there were a lot of ships coming. A lot of the tourists came from the UK, not so much the US. A lot of Grenadians returned from the US for vacation, but most of the visitors came from the UK and the rest of Europe, including Germany. And oh my God, it was just the most beautiful place. I knew growing up, I was growing up in a beautiful place. You know, sometimes it's all about looking back, but I knew it was special.
Well, like what would you see from other places? Like, were you seeing like, U.S. media? Were you seeing like?
No, it's funny. I had quite a tunnel vision. I listened to the radio. That's how I discovered David Bowie, who back then was Ziggy Stardust. And so I listened to that in a sneaky way, but everything I was supposed to listen to was supposed to be Catholic hymns and on Carnival only calypso and soca. But I went to Trinidad and I went to Barbados, much bigger islands, and that was in the process of coming to America. You have to go to those places that had an American embassy to get your visa. And I thought they were great islands, but they were too big. They were just too big. So I knew that I was in this special place where everybody knew one another. I could not walk down the road and not say hello to somebody without getting my butt whipped when I got back. I mean, it was a really special place. You respected older people. Children said good morning when they passed by. people used to leave their kids on my grandmother's stairs, and because they had to go to work early, and she'd take them to school. I just knew that I was surrounded by a lot of loving people. That your mother wasn't just your mother; like everybody's mother was your mother.
Do you still know everyone on the island?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. And these days, because I've lived in the U.S. for so long, I don't know everybody's names, but I know their faces. So it's very customary in Grenada to say, "Wait, you look like Mr. So-and-so. Oh, you're the grandchild." So, yeah. So people know you based on still your grandparents, your parents. Yeah. It's a really nice place.
When did you first think of leaving the island?
I didn't want to. I came kicking, and screaming. I didn't want to at all. My mom first traveled. My mom had a lot of problems mentally, and they noticed that and sent her to the U.S. to get some help. My dad, once my mother sort of settled, she went in and out of mental illness until maybe her 70s. And then she sent for my dad. And then together they decided they're going to take us only when we turned 14. So my sister first came, she was 17. And then my brother and I came, I was 14, he was 17. And then my other brother and sister, and then one sister was born here. So I didn't want to come at all. I knew I had like hot sun every day. I knew that when the rain passed, the flowers bloomed. I knew all of that. I was one of those crazy kids. And then I came in December.
Oh.
It was snowing. JFK, Pan Am to JFK.
Did you have a jacket?
No.
Yeah.
I had white sandals and a cute little dress that I think Miss Neckles made for me, the lady up on the hill. She was really good friends with my mom. And my dad was going to meet us at JFK. In those days, it was pre 9/11. So you're not just your parents because you're a minor, but your people that's picking you up could come all the way to the gate.
Totally.
So my dad had promised us we would not feel any kind of chill. He would bring jackets for us. And so he brought sort of like a bomber for my brother, and he thought that was cool, but he thought he looked a little puffy. And then he brought me this sort of plaid, red, white, and blue, very appropriate jacket, but little coat, but it just was not warm enough. And I still had my little, cotton dress underneath and my white sandals. And when we came through customs and immigration and that air hit me, I just thought I was going to die. I started crying, "Take me back to Mama and Papa." I did not want to be here at all. My father had a very difficult time convincing me that this was the land of milk and honey. I was like, "No, my mama and my papa are in the land of milk and nutmeg."
Yeah.
So.
And you're 14, which is
14.
That's a tough age
it was terrible.
to move, period. But you're moving to a whole another country and environment, and
and moving with parents that I loved but hadn't lived with them for a while, and was really close to my grandparents, and I was looking forward to seeing my mom and dad, but I just really thought they gave us the best life leaving us with our grandparents. It was hard for me. I was teased. I had a very strong Grenada accent with maybe a little bit of a British lilt to it because we were colonized people. I was teased. I was called banana boat girl, go back home. I just had a really hard time. I didn't have the latest fashion. I shopped at a place called Shoppers World on Church on Utica Avenue between Church and Snyder in Brooklyn, 99-cent things, because Daddy said, you don't have to have all that stuff. You're smart. So I didn't look good.
But you know what? He was right, though.
He was right.
Yeah.
He was always right.
Yeah. So you moved to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And
where in Brooklyn?
836 Utica Avenue.
All right.
Knock on the door.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. 836 Utica Avenue between Church and Linden. And that was culture shock for me.
I bet.
I came from a house, a 5-bedroom house, 2 stories. We had the shop, we had the garage, all the beautiful trees around. And there I was in the concrete jungle, going up, I believe, 3 flights of stairs. And it was a small apartment, so I thought, Daddy is not successful, And he said, we're good, we're doing well. And it was just hard for me. I was just like, wow, it's like a 2-bedroom apartment. Where do we all sleep? We all, So that was really, really hard.
How did you not feel like when you were feeling homesick? What comforted you?
Mama, I called her. And long distance call and collect. I called my grandma, and she'd always say, "It's okay, honey. It's okay. The best thing for you is to see America. America is nice."
So different kind of supermarkets.
Yeah.
Different kind of walking around.
I was like, wow. Let me tell you what got me loving America.
All right.
At the corner of Church Avenue and Utica Avenue, there was a Baskin Robbins. And it said 31.
31 flavors. Yeah.
And I didn't know what that meant. And I went in and there was 31 flavors. And I said, I can't even eat dairy now. But I think I tried every single one.
Oh my God.
I was like, ooh, yeah. Because back home you made vanilla.
Yeah.
And vanilla. And coconut. And nutmeg.
Yeah.
So,
that was the real land of milk and honey.
That
Baskin
was,
Robbins.
I was like, that was really amazing. Yeah.
How was school?
School was interesting. I always felt that I was a smart girl. And the reason I said that is because my grandparents were successful in business, but they didn't have a formal education. So I knew I had to know a lot to help them. I would write my grandmother's letters for her when she was sending letters back to the U.S. So I knew, like, I read everything. I had a newspaper route. I read the paper. I edited the paper before I delivered it. I was like that nerdy girl. Oh my gosh. But when I got to school, my father took us, my brother and I, and we were both put back 1 year because they said that the Grenada education was not equal to the U.S. education. So I should have gone into the 9th grade, and I went into the 8th grade, and I was just really bored out of my mind. I made a lot of enemies because my hand was up all the time. I knew all the answers. It was just not a good start for me at all. But in hindsight, I think that my journey was preordained. I think I had to meet the people that I met in the 8th grade. I had to meet the people I met in the 9th grade, and so on and so forth. But it was really difficult. And I met some amazing teachers that really sort of, maybe they pitied me or maybe they just liked me, but they really understood that I was struggling, but not struggling with my work, struggling to get out of the class, to go to a higher class. I knew what I wanted to be. I said I wanted to be a writer. They wouldn't give me a typewriting class. I was like, I have to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
So it was just like things like that. And there was a woman, Miss Gold, and she was my first Jewish teacher. And I didn't know what that meant, but she would leave early on Fridays, and just things like that. And she would sit with me and sort of tell me what that meant, and she would teach me things about her faith. And she really just took an interest in me. So whenever something was going on, that she was like, Yvette, you could do that. You could do that. You could enter the poetry contest. You can do this. You can do that.
That's wonderful.
Bless you, Ms. Gold. Wherever you are today, she was incredible to me. Whenever I felt bullied, I was bullied. I was really bullied at Erasmus Hall High School in Brooklyn. I would run into her office, and she was like, "You're better than that."
How special is that?
Yeah, she was really special. So all of those things that people say, we have such race relations in this country, but also just right there in Crown Heights, there was so much issues with the Black community and the Jewish community, and I'm telling you, unscientific in my approach, Ms. Gold. She was special.
What was the first time taking the subway like?
Oh my God, that was the weirdest thing. It was so loud. And that was, I came here in 75, so subway was graffiti, and there were people flashing you, and there were people cutting your face, and it was a violent time. And I have a subway story. I was on the D train. I was waiting for the D train on Church and 8th Street, I think, in Brooklyn, and I had these really beautiful iridescent earrings. It matched my iridescent jumpsuit because I was in love with the police, and Sting used to wear an iridescent
got it. Yeah.
So I wore my iridescent jumpsuit with my iridescent earring, and I was running, and it fell. So I let the train go, and I jumped into the subway
You
to
went
get my
down?
earrings. Yeah, and then this man was coming, older at the time. I was just quite young. I was probably 16 or so, and he said, "What are you doing? If you touch that third rail, you're going to fry up." I said, "Ooh, okay."
There is nothing good down there.
No,
like,
there's nothing. And I saw rats, and I saw garbage, and I saw everything. And I remember that man just putting his hand down and pulling me up. And he was a Caribbean man, and he put his finger in my face. Let me tell you something. When a Caribbean person put their finger in your face, you better learn. He said, "Young lady, I hope you live to be 80 years old. You will never do this nonsense again." I'm like, no. I still didn't get the earring. So I walked away with one earring forever. I'm still doing my
That was a
one
look,
earring
though.
thing. That was a look.
Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah.
So by the time that high school is ending, you're a creative person.
Yeah.
Do you want to still go into writing at that point?
Yeah, I am adamant that I'm going to go to college and study journalism. And I picked out my top colleges. It was going to be UCLA, and it was going to be NYU, and possibly Syracuse.
Wow.
That's it. Then I fell in love.
Oh, all right.
I fell in love. I didn't study as hard. I wore tight jeans the day of my test, and I was uncomfortable, and I didn't test well, and so I sort of missed NYU by probably like 10 points.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's like a killer. And I was on a wait list, I believe, for UCLA. Don't know how that happened since I missed NYU. But then I fell in love with my boyfriend.
All right.
Who's my husband of 36 years.
All right.
And I was like, oh, I need a school without a dorm. Because we were living together when I was 17, bad girl. I'll tell you that story. Met him that Wednesday, had a date to see Quadrophenia on Friday, moved in by Sunday.
Yeah.
You moved in by Sunday?
Yeah, Caribbean Catholic parents, that doesn't go well with them. They were haunting him with a machete. It was terrible. Yeah, but yeah.
What was more scary, moving in with him or touching the third rail?
The third rail. He was awesome. He's still awesome. Yeah.
And where did you guys meet? How did you meet?
Burger King.
Burger King.
Yeah, I defied my dad, who said, "I have 5 jobs. My child don't need to work. You just need to concentrate on school." But I still went and got a little job after school.
Oh, you were working at Burger King?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
My polyester uniform.
Oh.
And I was a cashier.
All right.
And because the manager said that I could convince anybody of anything, including getting a Whopper with cheese with extra mayo and a Diet Coke.
All right.
So he said you could talk anybody into anything. So I did. And,
you were upselling people at Burger King.
I was. And apparently my husband, my boyfriend at the time, my stranger man who fell in love with me, David Shore, walked in, and apparently had been on my line for a couple of times. A couple of times, and the manager had been paying attention to him because he was like, other people are here, and this guy is going on her line no matter how long. So they kept, but he didn't do anything. He just came. I never noticed him. And that day, he opened his mouth and ordered a chicken sandwich and my name and my phone number. And I was like, "You're crazy." And Burger King had these microphones, and I was talking into the mic because you're talking. But the whole restaurant was hearing me like turn him down, like, "Get out of my face!" I'm not looking for a boyfriend. What, you need my number? What do you need my number for? And my manager came out of the Harold was his name. He came out of the office and said, Turn it down, turn it down, turn it down. You're embarrassing the guy. Look at him. He's turning red, you know. And for some reason,
he upsold you.
Yeah, I said, I can't give you my number, but I'll take yours. And I called him. And I said, you know, I'm not looking for a boyfriend. My father will just murder me. I just can't, you know. And he said, do you want to see Quadrophenia? And I said, yes. And I spent 2 days becoming a punk rocker because he looked very punk. I cut up my dad's jacket and I put pins in it. And I tried to look like Grace Jones. And I met him that Friday in front of the 8th Street Playhouse. On 8th Street, and he looked really good. He was wearing a suit. He had cleaned up. He took the feather earring out. He wasn't wearing pink pants. He didn't look like David Bowie. I was like, you work on Wall Street. What's going on? You look like Grace Jones. I said, I thought I should punk up for you. He said, I thought I should clean up for you. And that was it. Never went home.
You got a job at Burger King against your father's wishes. I'm sure he didn't appreciate you cutting up the jacket to look like Grace Jones.
He didn't.
And you moved in with your boyfriend by the end of the week.
My white punk rock boyfriend.
What did your dad say to that?
You know, there was only one member of my family that even batted an eye, and that was my uncle, who was very, very upset and asked David if his niece would be his black experiment.
Oh my God!
I was like, Uncle, stop it!
I know.
Stop it! But yeah, he was the only one, and he still teases me to this day. You know, it worked out, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, my I don't know what happened to my family. You know, they're so strict, but at some point my mom and my dad said the door is left open for you. And I think they thought I was having a crisis and that I would get over it really quickly, that, you know, kids run away from home, kids do silly things. I think they probably thought that I was about to do something really silly and I would come to my senses.
What a bummer that you haven't yet.
I haven't. So many years, right? So many years.
So you did not go to any of the three colleges you wanted to go to?
No.
So what was the plan to become a writer at that point then?
I went to City College.
All right.
And I entered the most incredible 4 years of my life. I grew up at City College right there in Harlem.
Yeah.
I joined the school newspaper. I became the editor. First I started as the entertainment editor, then I became the editor. I was in a group of sort of guinea pig students in the journalism program. We had the best professors. They left private colleges to come to teach at City College. Professor Michael Keating was everything to me. Professor Renee O'Leary, Professor Ernest Boynton. I will never forget these three people that took me under their wing. They would show me the bulletin board was filled with opportunities. Apply, Yvette, apply. You're smart, apply. Ended up getting major internships because of them.
Where at?
CBS News.
Wow.
CBS News on the New Jersey desk. I did that with a woman named Anna Phillips. I was pregnant with my son at City College. I brought this little boy to school with me. I'm going to cry. Under my coat, sat in classes. Professor Keating would stop the class every hour when I was pregnant so I could go to the bathroom.
Wow.
He said, "You're getting bigger. I'm sure that baby's pressing down." And not because I couldn't leave him with my now husband, but David had a nighttime job. We would pass each other on the stairs. I would say, "The baby's sleeping," blah, 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 so I could get to class. And then one day I was just like, that man is going to sleep all day. And my child's going to not eat and like be in the diaper. So I'm taking him to school with me. And my best friend would like change her classes so that she could watch him. And we would just take turns holding the baby. And yeah, that immigrant life and student life, I did that. And I think my son is a better person because of it. He says that he's the struggle baby and that the girls are the record company babies, you know. He's like, Mommy, you had nothing when you had me. You had everything when you had them. That's why they're spoiled.
Well, so what was it inside of you that said there's more than just, you know, I could do one thing. I could just, you know, I could not go to college. I could be a mother. I could find something that I don't want to do. What's the difference between that and deciding, you know what, I'm going to be a mother, which is a real job,
Do all.
and strive to be what I want to be?
Mama and Papa. My grandparents were always in my head. And the fact that I go back to this place in my head, Grenada, I believe that I had a community of Grenadians that now were in Brooklyn that would not let me fall. I believe that punk rock kid from Ford City, Pennsylvania, was put on this earth to love me. And I truly believe that he would be there to help me, that my brothers and sisters would be there to help me. And it was true. It was true. When I needed a break, packed up the car, took the kid to Brooklyn. I said, I have to study now. Studied, went back and picked up my kid. My community made me feel that I could do it. And watching my grandparents work morning, noon, and night to take care of my brothers and my sisters and myself, particularly when my mom was having an episode of her bipolar, hid us from that. I knew I could do it. I had to do it. I had to do it for Mommy. I had to do it for my mom. I had to do it for my grandparents. The idea of making them ashamed or embarrassed was not an option for me.
How did you change as a mother?
I think that it's been a journey for me, a real journey for me as a mom. With my son, I was so young. I was 22 when he was born, 21 when I was married. Didn't know anything. Read every pregnancy and baby book, but never read the chapters that were the bad chapters, the things that could go wrong. I didn't want to know them at all. That's naive. By the time the second baby comes, like, I want to know everything. So older then, they were 9 years between the babies. Had a real experience with my second child. Was in the hospital for a month before she was born. It was a terrible, terrible last 4 or 5 weeks of the pregnancy. With the youngest, my now 22-year-old, I came back to just, she brought like this sort of level of calm from the pregnancy to her birth to who she is right now. I think I was 3 different mothers. Because you have to mother children for who they are. I don't think you can mother each child the same way. Once their personalities start kicking in, you know what you have to do for one child. A little different than the other. Yeah.
So that's not an easy thing to do because, you know, your first child, you're in college and he doesn't care. No. I have one of my favorite photographs of myself as a young woman. I'm sitting at this illustrator's table because my husband used to draw and paint. Because it was either that or a desk, so it became my desk. And I'm sitting there doing homework. There's a box of diapers right there. I'm writing and I'm nursing. Oh my God.
And
doing it all.
That was my college life. That was what I did.
So by the time you graduated college, what was the next step?
So I was really anxious to start my life, and I got a job in my last year of college. My uncle, who didn't like David at the beginning, got me a job at a financial institution. He said, I know that's not what you want to be, but you should learn everything, and you should learn about money. And I started working for a company called Beneficial Finance. And they would make these small loans, and people would come and pay back the loans in person, cash.
Yeah.
And I remember just feeling that school I was not over school, but I was ready. I was kind of ready to get out. So I didn't go to my graduation. I did not pick up my degree. I already had my life. It was earlier this year that I went to do a speech at City College, and they surprised me and presented me with my degree.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
I almost passed out because I just, things happen. Every day I'm going up to get it. I don't go to get it. And then,
You earned it.
Cameron had a lot to do with that. And he hid it from me. Yeah.
So that job, was it beneficial to you, so to speak?
I feel like I was learning so much about people, and I feel like I was getting a lesson in finance that I did not get in college. And I felt very obligated once again to family. My uncle had gone out on a limb to get me that job, and I was just like, graduation, or the lady from the Bronx who took the train all the way down to pay her bill, and she wants to be on time. So
how important was it to you to know what you didn't want to do?
Oh, very important. Still to this day. I always say I'm the girl who came through the record industry, and I poured my own water because I just didn't want to be the girl that was caught up in whatever drug culture was going on. I appointed myself the girl that was going to drive everybody home. And so I made decisions very, very young, what I want and what I don't want. And whenever I don't do that, I get burned. Whenever I do something that just wasn't, I'm like, why did I do that? Yeah, my listening to that inner voice has been my strongest suit.
I'm assuming you leave the financial institution.
Yeah.
And you go to Black Beat magazine.
I do.
How did you get in there? And also, like, what was your musical background in terms of, like, what you were listening to at that time to get you into there?
Well, I went back on a recommendation from a professor that said that I should go to these college job fairs. So I went to Hofstra University. They had a
far out.
They had a job fair for any student in the New York City area, and I went out there. Didn't even know how to get out there.
Yeah, I still don't know how to get out there.
Oh my God, Hofstra is so far. And
Did you have to get like a boat?
I think I took a boat. But I got out there, and on one of my first interviews was with Gannett Westchester newspapers. And I knew I wanted to be a writer, and I just sat there the whole time. For a long time, there were other people waiting, and I just was really curious about how a newspaper, comes together. And they offered me a paid internship right then and there, so I ended up doing that. And was learned to drive. I actually said to them, they said, we'd love to have you. Your writing examples from school are really good, and we'd love to have you. So you'd have to drive up to White Plains. I said, of course. And then I said, when do I start? And he said, a week from now. And I said, oh, no problem. And I ran out of there crying, called David. I was like, David, oh my God, I think I told a lie. I think I could drive. I don't know how to drive. So for 1 week, I took lessons. In 1 week, I got my license.
Amazing.
So that I could drive. Yeah, I did that. And while I was there, I got a call from a girl I knew, and she said that Black Beat was looking for an editor. So I went into... I said, Black Beat? I know Right On. Why would I want to work for Black Beat? And she said, oh, stop it. You should come. And I went, and John Plunkett was my boss. He was a rascal of an Irishman. Oh, my God. We would sit, and we would just chat, and he would tell me all about his culture. And he'd never come to work, obviously, on St. Patrick's Day. He's like, that's my day. And we just used to laugh. The whole culture thing was so important to him. I would tell him, well, I don't come to work on Labor Day. He said, Nobody goes to work on Labor Day. I said, oh, that's the Caribbean Carnival. It's like, I said, you got to give me another day, you know. But we had the best time. But he hired me on the spot again, and I was actually fighting with him, saying, please read my writing. Show me that you're going to give me an edit test, you know. And then he finally said, okay. And I
you really were that like nerdy girl trying to just like, you know, raise your hand. Yeah.
Well, because
give me more.
Because I had my portfolio. I would stay up all night doing my portfolio, and then he basically said, it's Black Beat Magazine. I'm looking for a black girl editor. You're hired. I'm like, no, John Plunkett, no. That's not how you hire people. Yeah, so I stayed there for, a long time. 8.5 years I stayed there.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I was getting ready to close the magazine. We were shipping in a couple of days, and I realized that I had not written my review of Mariah Carey's album, Music Box, I think it was. And I called Larry Jenkins, who was then the head of the media department at Sony Music, Columbia Records. And I said, I don't have the music. I want to do a review. He said, I don't think we've sent it out yet. I said, yes, you have, because I work for a company where there are other magazines and they have it. So Larry, send it to me. And he's like, oh my God, Yvette, let me get them to send it to you. And then he called me back and said, wait, I'm looking for an editor. You have so much passion. I've been interviewing publicists, but maybe I should interview a writer. I was like, Larry, just send me the music, please. Long story short, I went up to Columbia Records, and Larry Jenkins hired me on the spot. And he said, I don't know what it is, but you could make a great publicist. I'm like, you're crazy. I don't even like publicists.
Right.
You've been fighting them for 8 years.
And they fall apart at very important times. They invite you to an event. They've got the list. They say you're not on the list. They don't. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be stressed like that. I don't want to be rude to people. He's like, calm down. You're starting on Monday. Monday, I got there. My name is on the door, spelled correctly.
That's a big deal.
Everything. Yeah. And on my chair is a folder that says Mariah Carey. So I quickly pick it up and I run down to Larry's office and I said, I guess the person who was here before left the Mariah Carey folder. He said, Yvette, you need to study everything about Mariah Carey. You're no longer a fan. You're her publicist.
And he'd never even sent you the album.
Send me the album after. Before he hired me, I said you have to send me the album. So I did do it. I should go back and see what my review said. I hope I like the album.
Hey guys, just want to take a second to interrupt the podcast to let you hear a little bit of the construction that's going on in our apartment right now. Taking off a piece of the wall. There's some pipes back there. All very exciting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also go to ItsTheReal.com/shop. We'll be selling pieces of our wall over there.
T-shirts, books, anything you want. ItsTheReal.com/shop. And now back to our friend, Yvette. Give us some context of who Mariah was at that point. What was in that folder?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, success. Just success, you know. I mean, it was a folder of the press report. And I'm like, what can I do? But what was missing at the time was black press. And I think that they really wanted me to come in and pretty much court all of the people that I had been on the beat with, right? You know, because she had a lot of pop. She had a lot of mainstream. Not a lot of black press. She didn't have Ebony. She didn't have Essence. She didn't have like the main things at the time. And so my first thing was to get her on the cover of Ebony magazine. And I was scared to death. I was like, oh, okay, they're setting me up to fail. The other thing you have to remember, it's 1993.
Right.
Mariah Carey is married to my ultimate boss,
Tommy Mottola.
If I fail Mariah, I fail Tommy. I'm probably out the door at 550 Madison Avenue.
Also, he was living in Westchester, and you can never work in Westchester again.
Exactly.
So Gannett.
Exactly. So Gannett wouldn't even hire me, right? Oh, my gosh. Yeah, but what a time I had.
They threw you in the deep end.
I keep saying that they threw me in, and they said, you know how to swim? I was like, no. You know, but
You're from Grenada. You don't know how to swim? Yes, you do.
oh no, I do. I do.
Okay,
I do.
yeah.
I
Metaphorically
do.
speaking.
Yeah.
But you know, honestly, you know, throw you in. Do you know how to swim? That's how I learned to swim.
Yeah.
My
Oh, is
aunt
that right?
threw me into a river, into a big current, and said, I put a bamboo rod and said, "Come." Yeah.
Which aunt is this?
My aunt Carmelita.
All right, shout out to her. So, how was working in a big building like 550 Madison?
Overwhelming.
I bet.
I don't like high rises. I mean, I guess it wasn't considered a real tall building, but I was the first time I went there was on the 26th floor, and I was like, ooh, that's a lot. I mean, at Blackbeat, I was like on the 4th floor, and you can get down the stairs in no time.
Yeah.
And when I was at Gannett Westchester Papers, you just drive in and you're there. Like,
And when you were living in Brooklyn, it was a 3rd floor walk
third
up.
floor.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it
yeah.
was like manageable.
Yeah.
And the apartment in the East Village. Ooh, I didn't tell you that we live next to the Hells Angels, but that's another story.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but it
Wait,
was
why
just
didn't you get their
overwhelming.
leather jackets?
I know. They were good neighbors.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
They were good. Well, they were good too. When I first got there, they weren't good to me. But
Just,
they
watch out for the motorcycles and you're good.
But
Yeah.
they were, you know, eventually, you know, we all get old, right?
Yeah.
We all get older. We all get milder. Yeah. But Sony Music was the best learning experience a girl could ever had. I worked on the Larry Jenkins, but Tommy Mottola, and of course Donnie Ienner were running the ship, and really took a chance on a girl with no experience with their biggest act. And I stayed there, and they kept giving me their big acts, and I'm like, I kept saying, this is a setup. This is a setup. Like in my brain, I was working and doing the work, but there is another part of me that constantly thought every day I was there, I would be fired. I had a little box under my desk,
A music box.
a music box, literally,
Yeah.
a little box where I said I could, the minute I'm fired, I could fit all my personal stuff in there and just walk out. Every day that I worked, calling the Oprah Winfrey Show, calling the Today Show, calling the New York Times, still thought, this is a setup. There is no way I could be doing Mariah Carey's press. Then time goes by. There is no way I am working with Destiny's Child. Time go. There is no way I'm working with John Legend. Like, it just kept coming and coming and coming. It was crazy.
Do you think that the fear, this may be a weird question, but do you think the fear sort of catapulted you to do the greater things that you did?
Absolutely. I do my best work when I am shaking like a leaf, you know.
Back
And,
against the wall.
yeah, I just, you know, you where do you go? You have to go up. You have to go up. I don't recommend it because, you know, maybe for people that sweat, it's not a good thing. I don't sweat, so I stay very calm.
Yeah.
I don't look crazy when I'm nervous, but yeah, it's not a good place to be, but it has worked for me.
So what are some of those early wins that you had, though? Ebony Magazine.
Ebony Magazine for Mariah winning over the late John Johnson after I stepped on his toe and decided that I was going to put his staff at the table, that I was going to seat them, and he told me that this is his empire and he chooses who sits at the table. And I said, no problem, sir. But I said it in my Grenada accent, and so he fell in love with the accent and felt sorry for the immigrant, and he was really great to me. I guess another big win was we did Destiny's Child, I think, when I finally got a mainstream shoot for them. It was a magazine called Teen People. That was really big because before that, I was not getting any love. I was not getting any love for them. It's so funny how this business works. And a huge, huge win that to my dying day I'll remember is I think it was the LA Times first piece on John Legend that said something like a singer that lives up to his name.
Wow.
And there was no fanfare. We basically just put the album in a jiffy bag and mailed it out. and just said, listen and call me. I just believed. I just believed that he had something really, really special.
That is a classic album, by the way.
Oh. You know, I love John.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud that I could say I have a friendship with John after all these years. But I'll tell you this, John has put out some great, great work. He is an EGOT.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations, John. But I'm telling you, that first album, I go back to that first album. Get Lifted is still lifting me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great album.
We were at the anniversary party a year and a half ago, something like that, here in the city. Yeah.
Yes.
So who is working that project? Kawan Prather?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kawan Prather. Lisa Ellis, I believe, was the head of Sony Urban.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, who was? I think Shanti Das was marketing. Cece McClendon, I believe, was radio. Wow, we had such a team. It was incredible. Quincy Jackson, the great, oh my God, the great Quincy Jackson was assigned to him in marketing. Oh, she killed it. She killed it. Yeah, it was great.
You built up all these people, Mariah, Prince.
I wouldn't say I built them.
No, but I'm saying like that.
I was lucky enough to work with these icons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, they threw these huge names at you. Destiny's Child was somebody that was a group that you had to build up yourself, on the publicity end.
Yes.
So
yes, definitely on the publicity end because nobody was returning my phone calls.
Yeah. Like, they had gone through like a million name changes and they hadn't, their first album, I think, only had like really just No.
Well, actually, it was the first album that started the build because when by the time they came to Columbia, they had gone through all the name changes. So they came to Columbia as Destiny's Child, and much respect to Matthew Knowles, who just would not give up. Would not give up.
Was he the one who like got the building like talking finally?
Oh, absolutely,
about it? Yeah.
absolutely. He would not listen. There was a moment where Matthew said, "Yvette, didn't you work Mariah? Come on, get with it. I think that in the early days of Destiny's Child, the competition was really, really stiff. And, there was TLC and Vogue was doing their thing, SWV. I mean, Escape was sort of bubbling under, I think.
Total.
There were a lot of girl groups.
Yeah.
A lot of girl groups. And, shout out, respect, I mean, hands in the air, big clap to Wyclef Jean, my Haitian brethren. Because No was a fantastic song. But when he went into that studio and put that spin on it and basically called them a young supreme, I grabbed that line and said, ooh, we can start pitching that. And it's funny if you go back and you look at Vibe magazine early days, Emil Wilbekin was the editor. We came up with the idea of let's picture them the way Wyclef saw them on the record. And we had two covers, one Destiny's Child and one Homage to the Supremes. And so there were some great moments. But I think that now, of course, if you go to a Beyonce concert, maybe not this last one because there wasn't any Destiny's Child, right? But if you, like Coachella, for example, you hear like the scream that happens when a Destiny's Child song comes on because it takes people back to a time when, music was great, people just loved it, the 3-part harmony, like all of this stuff, beautiful girls. It's just, that was the most amazing ride of my career.
Yeah.
I'm still riding that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just crazy how Larry Jenkins just took a chance on me and I ended up working some of the best artists in the world.
What were your TRL experiences like?
Oh my God. Well, I'll tell you a TRL experience that I had with Bow Wow.
Okay.
I wasn't even his publicist. I was helping
Sure.
Miguel Beguer, but we did an in-store and then we went to TRL, I believe, or maybe.
So was the in-store at
maybe-
Virgin or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah, across the
Oh
street.
in Times Square,
God.
yeah.
And the fans were crazy, and I was trying to get in the car, and basically I think I fell.
Oh, my God.
It was, I think it's the only time I felt like I'd gotten killed.
Oh, my God.
During
Yeah.
work, because the kids just sort of walked over me. Like,
Oh.
yeah, that was TRL was maddening. I mean, the lines of people outside the studio.
They would shut Times Square down.
Yeah, in that Meridian, where
Yeah.
they would
Yeah.
just stand there. I was just like, oh my! And then, was it Tower? What? No.
Oh,
What was right there that you could do the in-store
I
and then
think
just walk across?
Virgin,
Virgin
right?
Megastore?
Was it Virgin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Tower was downtown. Ooh, I'm dating myself. that was crazy. That was crazy. But I mean, so many great stories of TRL. That was.
And it became,
at 106 in Park.
Yeah,
you know?
but those two stops became
You had to do
necessary.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, I am so old that I could tell you that I went to 106 in Park when it was on
106 in Park, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was like, yeah, wow, that was really something.
Yeah. Did you see it for AJ and Free?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I remember when AJ had a birthday or something, and Destiny's Child came to surprise him. And, I think that's probably still one of his fondest memories of them, because they genuinely cared about him,
Yeah.
and Free was everything. Free is everything.
Yeah.
I just saw a photo of her. I was like, yes, yes.
By the way, it's our
Those
dream
moments.
to get AJ and Free on this podcast.
Oh,
yeah.
you must.
Yeah.
Anything I can do.
Oh,
I know
well, thank
AJ
you.
well.
Oh.
I will tell him.
He doesn't
needs
return our
to come.
emails. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to have to tell him. I'm texting him today. I do want to say something away from like just the publicity thing. This was key for me. I actually wrote it down how much I wanted to tell you this. One of the highlights of my years at Black Beat magazine was with no other than Tupac Shakur. And I was invited to go to the set of Poetic Justice. So I thought that, oh my God, I'm going to get to talk to Janet Jackson, But they were like, no. You could talk to Janet some other time, but this is Tupac's press day. And I went, and they were shooting in like a neighborhood. Like we drove up, cul-de-sac and everything in the neighborhood. I thought I was going to a set, but the set was an actual neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember who his publicist was, but I remember they told me to go into, not the dress. It wasn't a dressing room.
Trailer?
The trailers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go into the trailer. And I waited maybe a few minutes, and then there was a knock on the door, a very polite knock on the door. I was like, come in. This is your trailer. And what I believe to be the most handsome eyelashes I have ever seen in my life walked in.
It was David.
It was Tupac Shakur. And I remember saying to him, I was like, you have the best eyelashes in the world. And he just cracked up. And then I went into this whole long thing with him, like, why is it that men have nice eyelashes and women always have to like do something to theirs? And he just stood there, sat down, and just listened to me and the beauty thing. And then I said to him, I hope you cover your face when you get into fights. And he said, yes, from day one, my mama said, cover my face. But that's one of my fondest memories. And it was on a cassette. I was given about 35 minutes to talk with him. I think I probably spent over an hour with him in his trailer, and the fact that nobody stopped us, even though he was supposed to go back on set, it was an incredible interview, and it's the one interview, it's the one thing, one of a few that I had from Black Beat magazine that did not get destroyed in my house fire in 2008. So somewhere in my house, it's hidden, this gem of an interview.
Oh my God.
With Tupac. I hope it's still on there because, you know, you can't play cassettes anymore.
Yeah.
Really. But I will never do anything with it. But I saw another side of this guy who sat and spoke so beautifully about his mom, his love for his mom, bless her soul. And I just remember coming out of that trailer just grinning from ear to ear. I was like, oh my God. Trust me, he said some things that I told him, it's Black Beat magazine. I can't quote you. But
one of one.
Yeah. It was yeah.
What was the first time meeting Prince like?
It was the rehearsals I'd gone to a few Prince concerts, but I never met him. But it was the rehearsals for 2004 Grammys with Beyonce.
Yeah.
And I went to a few of the rehearsals and pretty much pretended that he was not in the room. I had my head down the whole time and just like really not looking at him but smiling all the time. Oh my God, I'm in the room with Prince. Oh my God. Prince and Beyonce in the same room. And, you know, a couple of months later, after that iconic performance, I get a call from his then lawyer, Londell McMillan, and he said that Prince was going to go to the Today Show to do an interview, and it's rare, but he was going to go, and can I come and meet them? And I was like, why would I come to meet Prince? And he said, well, he just did the deal with Columbia Records for this one album, Musicology, and it's he may want to work with you. And I said, but why would he want to work with me? So I got really nervous, and I think I just walked over from the Sony building, and I just thought, hi, bye, back to the Sony building. I was brought in, said, this is Yvette Noel-Schure, and he said, hi, nice to meet you, and I'm getting ready to go, and he said, wait. And I said, what? He said, I know you. I said, no. He said, we've met. I said, no, we have not. I said, I've been to a number of your shows, always had bad seats, you never met me. And he said, oh yeah, you were at the rehearsals, the Grammy rehearsals, and you were in the corner smiling the whole time.
Whoa.
That is exceptional.
And so I became the publicist for Musicology, and then 10 years later he called me when he was doing the 2 albums with Third Eye Girl, and yeah.
Having worked with both Beyonce and Prince, did you get a kick out of the SNL
Great
stuff that they would do?
Yes.
You know? The Fred Armisen and
Maya
Rudolph sketches?
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
I thought it was amazing. You know, I can't talk about Prince without always getting emotional. I always say that journalism school never taught me how to write a statement to tell the world that an icon has passed. That was very difficult for me. But a highlight with Prince is that I booked him on Saturday Night Live, and he said, I came back to him and I said, 2 songs, one before midnight and one just before he knows that, he knows that. Well, no, I think I want to just do one long performance. Okay, that's not really what they do. Oh! Come on, you could do it. Brian at SNL was so great. And we did it. Prince did a whole performance without a commercial break. It was incredible to watch people watch him when he came for the rehearsal, when he came for the show. I was sitting in the dressing room, not his, I would never do that, the work dressing room, just beside myself. I just could not believe what was happening. I was just like, oh my God. I'm the publicist for Prince. I just booked Prince on Saturday Night Live and they broke the rules. And wow. That was unbelievable. I sort of stayed out of the way, did his thing, and I remember just looking at him like, wow. And then he was gone. Prince has left the building. Yeah.
In our line of work, over a decade, there's a lot of confusion from relatives as to, what we do. And there was maybe one moment when we worked with Stevie Wonder where it was like, oh, grandma gets Stevie Wonder.
Everybody gets Stevie Wonder.
So who was that artist for you then?
That I worked with?
Yeah, where people could be like, oh, a real job.
A real job. I think it would have to be Destiny's Child, because of such a generation. You meet these 35, 37-year-old women who have these incredible stories of being in stores and, Prince, obviously. But I think Destiny's Child and everybody from Destiny's Child, people, because it's so tangible for everybody. It's so tangible. They remember where they were. They remember every song.
Yeah.
Every song means something to them. Women say, this song made me do this. Destiny's Child. Destiny's Child. I'm most grateful. I'm most honored that I worked with Destiny's Child. And I'll tell you this. If I had to give up every single thing and go back in time in my career and pick one act to work with, it would be Destiny's Child.
And you knew that the moment they walked in the building?
Oh my God. I think I knew that the minute I spent the weekend with them in Houston. They came into the building and I think they had just signed them and they asked me to come down and I met them and I thought, oh my God, these 4 beautiful girls. And then I asked Larry Jenkins to let me go to Houston to spend the weekend because I came from Black Beat and I was thinking one of the things I remember about Black Beat and covering the groups was that people love groups, but they also love the individual members, from New Edition, from New Kids on the Block, and that goes all the way back to like the Beatles, right? The Jackson 5 and the Osmonds. People had like favorites that they identified with based on something that the person likes to do or something. So I put on my fanzine hat and went down there to Houston to get to know little things about the ladies that possibly would not have come through in a video or on the records. And I was glad that Sony, paid for that.
Yeah.
It's a good investment for me to get to know them. So when I was pitching, it was, I don't know, I could say something a little bit more meaningful about each girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So number one in my book would be my experience with Destiny's Child and everything I learned from them, everything I hopefully taught them, everything they taught me. The respect that those young ladies gave me from day one, each and every one, every incarnation, the 4, the 3.
Yeah.
I mean, right now I'm representing, it's just weird for me that right now in my life, in 2018, I'm still working with 2 members of Destiny's Child. It's just, I'm working with Michelle as well, and it's just a full circle. Yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to Miss Tina and Matthew for trusting me around their children because, I consider all the girls their children, particularly Kelly. And that I was not the the naughty record company person that they didn't want around their children. You know,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate them believing that I could bring something to the table, and I would do it in a respectful manner.
For sure.
Has Mama Tina ever designed anything for you?
Yes, she has. She didn't do it just for me. She designed a line called the Miss Tina line that I think I probably wore every single piece, because I was like, you made that for me, and it was affordable. But all respect and gratitude to Miss Tina Knowles, Tina Knowles Lawson now.
Mm-hmm.
She made my daughter's prom dress.
Wow.
She did. I watched it. I watched her. I watched her put every bead on that dress.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible. It's still one of the most beautiful dresses. The dress no longer fits, you know, because my daughter is longer, and you know, so. But I am keeping that dress. I'm telling you, my granddaughter is gonna wear that dress one day. You know. So.
Has she ever told you a joke?
Miss Tina.
Yeah. She's known for her jokes on Instagram.
Has she ever told me a joke? She's funny all the time.
Yeah.
She's funny all the time. I laugh at her jokes. I don't know if she ever sat down and said, let me tell you a joke. But I definitely look at all her jokes on Instagram. And when I'm with her, I was just like, oh my God. She's so funny. Yeah.
Is there one Beyonce album that means more to you than the rest?
4. 4 is the album for me. The vocals on 4, it's insane, but for me, it's all about the time. I see 4 as a time in our music culture that this artist shifted and said, everything you expect, I'm gonna do something different. I feel like it was the seminal album. It was the one that changed everything. It was the one where people were like, whoa, whoa. Yeah, it's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Were you nervous when she was going to do her first solo album out of the Destiny's Child mold?
No, not at all. I don't think anybody was nervous. I think everybody that worked at Sony was excited. Don't forget that she did the solo album and there was still a Destiny's Child album.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't nervous about it at all. Yeah.
And how did the building feel? Excited?
Oh my God. Oh my God, I think everybody was excited. I think maybe, I guess I can't speak for everybody. I maybe some people were like, oh, I don't know. Maybe they were nervous, but I wasn't. I mean, how could you? You know, if it was just naive bet based on everything that was done with Destiny's Child, how could you even be nervous? How could you even doubt it?
So she's gone on to heights that, you know, have superseded every other artist that I can think of. And how did that affect your role as a publicist in terms of like what new opportunities you could do for her?
Well, I think everything that was happening with her music and her content was also, there was a shift also in the business. The digital space exploded. I no longer had a long list of print. There was some print that was going. I believe her narrative became poignant and much more stronger through what it is she was communicating in her music. And I feel that my role as a publicist became definitely not the definition that's in the book. I think it became a lot more creative and made me really want to learn a lot more. You know, you had to learn about the digital space. You know, I came out of Sony. It was very fragmented. You do this person do this. So I had to learn a lot more. And also, I just humbly say that my role is to execute. I believe in the vision. I believe in the dream. I believe in this genius of a person, and I am beyond honored to play a ant-sized role in this sort of thing that she does.
You are beyond humble.
Yeah.
But when did you know that you were really good at your job? A job you didn't even want.
I know. I knew I was pretty good when...
Humble.
I knew I was pretty good in probably October of 2013 when I started learning that there would be an album that would have no promotion, and you better get with it, Yvette, because you're not calling everybody 3 months ahead of time. I went back to my writing skills. The only thing I had to do was have a press release that was really not a press release, but really like a biographical packet of this album, and it would not go out until the album is out there, because the album has to come first, the music and the visuals. But this piece, we had to anticipate that it would need to answer every question imaginable. And so I was really grateful for journalism classes and really grateful for the people who in our circle edited it and made it something that was meaty. Going back to what you always know, tell a story, and that's what I did. That's what I did, because I had no other role. I wasn't calling up the New York Times. I wasn't doing any of that. But I had to make sure that I think it ended up being like 5 pages. It's probably the longest thing I've written. It's usually like about a page and a half. You learn that in journalism school. A page and a half, 2 pages. If you got to go longer than that, you got to call it an addendum. But and I you just become creative. And I also anticipated that there would be so many journalists that I had walked the beat with, that I had courted before, that would be surprised, but not a good surprise for them. They'd be like, oh, how, So I had to gently walk that line with a number of journalists and wake them up at midnight. Wake them up at midnight and say, I just had to wake you up because I don't want you to wake up in the morning and find out what's going on. A few people hung up on me and said that there's no way you would call me this late. I'm like, I'm calling you this late because there's a shift. There's a shift. Something is happening. I won't name names, but somebody said to me, that is rude. I'm like, oh, sorry. But my role has also sort of expanded because I am the publicist for a lot of the philanthropic efforts. So I'm involved with whatever she does to give back to the community. We have an amazing leader of Be Good. Her name is Ivy McGregor, and wherever she goes, in Beyonce's name, in terms of giving back to the community, she does the boots on the ground, and I do the words to get it out to the world. Whether it's the scholarship program, whether it's the water. Addressing the water scarcity in East Africa and Burundi, whether it's a concert like what's coming up in South Africa for Nelson Mandela's 100th year of his birth, through Global Citizen, whatever it is, I tend to sort of get involved as the person who would get the information out. I always tell, like a lot of people on Instagram or even people in my family, like, so when is this coming? When is that coming? I said, have I ever called you up and told you that? So I'm not starting now.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the decision to leave Columbia, to leave the Sony family, and go full time with
my own company?
Yeah.
Did it have to do with the height of the Sony building?
Oh my God, Jeff.
No more elevators. Yeah.
Probably. Keeping it with height, I had gotten to the highest place. And I felt the walls were closing in on me. I felt that I could not go any further where I was. And I also felt really scared that if they came to tell me I have to leave,
You couldn't fit it all in the box.
I couldn't. I had grown so much. I had too many things. The box was too small. Honestly, I didn't. I wanted to leave before they threw me out.
Yeah.
And not because I felt they were going to. Maybe they would have.
You just never want to stay at a party too late.
The party was over.
Yeah.
I did not need to be sitting at the bar when the party was over.
Right.
I felt I had had a really good run. I did not leave Sony to go open up my business. I left Sony to go lay on a beach in Grenada. I had no plans.
That was the first thing you did.
Oh, I did. I went to the beach in Grenada. I went to Vegas. We had 4 vacations that summer. We went everywhere.
You went nuts.
I went nuts.
Went nutmeg.
Trust me,
Yeah.
The banker was not happy. Financial guy was not happy. But I didn't leave to open up the business. My husband actually tricked me into opening up the business. I wasn't going to do that. I was thinking about maybe going back to school and teaching. I really want to teach.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you want to teach?
I want to teach journalism. I want to teach comprehension. I want to teach communication. I want to teach young people how to speak. I want to teach them.
Good
how they
luck.
should be
Yeah.
reading. That they should be reading.
There was a typo in. We were watching SNL, and there was a typo. They meant whose, WHOSE, and they put an apostrophe S, and we're like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't blame Instagram for that.
No.
You can get away with that on social media, but you got to fix that.
Yeah.
You got to fix that.
Yeah.
Especially when that's the only language you know.
Come on.
So many people all over the world speak 2, 3 languages. If you only know one, we need to perfect it.
Right.
Well, is emoji a language?
Yeah, I think so. I speak in emoji all the time.
Is that right?
Especially, I'm doing this whole birthday countdown.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end
By the way,
of,
we've seen.
Yeah.
At the end of it, I have to tell you that I'm happy, I smile, and I'm a Scorpion, and I dance. So those are, sometimes not in that order. Yeah, but Sony, that was difficult.
Yeah?
I talk about writing and how important writing is to me, and, Prince's statement was something that I had to write. The bio for the self-titled album was something I'm really proud of, but writing like statements, it's very what do you say to people? They hang on at everything. I wrote a statement to Gossip Cop that time.
Mm-hmm.
You know that statement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I it went a little crazy. Yeah, just but writing to me is the most important thing. It's like deep down, I don't want to say I'm a publicist. Deep down, I want to say I'm a writer. And one of these days, I'd like to maybe write a book, but not about the business.
Right.
About my mom and her illness. I think it's still something that people don't really want to discuss. They're doing it a little bit more now, mental illness. But I will never in this lifetime ever write a book about the music business.
Mm-hmm.
Like every single artist could relax. I have nothing.
Well, now you just disappointed the entire beehive.
Can't do it. I would not do it. I respect the people I work with way too much. I will do an interview with credible people. I will tell you.
And us.
Yep, correct. Yeah.
You are one of those credible people. About the experience. I've had a career. I've had a good one.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed to talk about it. I'm going to protect and respect my clients' privacy and their work ethics, but I will not. I don't know who these people are that just spend 2 minutes with somebody and they write a book. Like I don't understand that.
Are you shocked at how it used to be just like page 6, right? That was your gossip sort of central.
Yeah.
Now it's, a million websites and they all have their own quote unquote sources and it moves at the speed of light.
Well, I think that it's a reflection on our world. Our world is very dark and very negative. And I'm not hoping that people lose their jobs, but I'm hoping that they find jobs where they're not thrilled to destroy other people.
Yeah.
I think that's really sad that you make things up about people. And as a former journalism student and somebody with a degree after having studied journalism, I am just so sad that nobody fact checked and nobody, just write whatever they want. And once it's out there, it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's disappointing.
You had a house fire.
I did.
How did that change you?
Oh, I'm changed forever. 2008, I was getting ready to do a press day for the album, I Am Sasha Fierce, was coming out a month later on my birthday, November 18th. And this
Scorpio season.
Scorpio season.
It's just a gentle reminder that
gentle
December is
reminder.
coming up.
November 18th, people. Turning 30 again. It was October 8th. And I went to work. We had finished doing all of the sort of long lead press, and we were getting into short leads. So I think we had the Associated Press and USA Today on tap. And my husband called and said, "Come home." And I said, "Is this a booty call, David Shore?" And he said, come home. Our house is burning down." And I said, "Oh my God." And I went home, and the house I had just left hours ago was just a shell. Like, the fireman said I can go in after they've got the fire under control, and he said, "Just grab what you can for sentimental reasons, but you can't live in your house." And there was nothing in the house, everything, and as they were fighting the fire, everything they threw out was on the lawn. Michelle Williams. I turned around, I was bawling on the lawn. I looked up, and Michelle Williams, in her Louboutins, had canceled her own press day for her album, and came to help me.
Wow.
It was terrible. It was terrible. But I'll tell you this. We had done a photo shoot maybe the week before, and the stylist had all of these shoes, and as I was leaving, he said, "Some of these I bought myself. I don't have to return those. I can gift you that." And I said, "Oh my goodness." It was a white pair of Louboutin pumps. It was the first thing I saw when I pulled up to the house that was burnt. And I can see like a little bit of the red with a lot of black on it. And the lesson for me was the expensive ones burn the same way as the cheap ones. These are not things that we need to put everything into, material things. We need to care about people much more than things. And I already knew that, but seeing that shoe that I had coveted days before just like gone, it's like, all right, there's a bigger lesson here. We're alive. It was an electrical fire. It could happen to anybody.
Wow.
And the good thing, if there is such a good thing that can come after a fire, is that we really did rise from the ashes.
Yeah.
In that we rebuilt the house on the property. and we built a house that was more a workable house for us. You know, you buy a house and
where did you live in the meantime?
We lived literally on the other side of the track, so you had to cross the tracks to go over. In our town, I didn't want the kids to miss one day of school, so we stayed at our neighbors, our very good friends, for about 3 days.
And they did not miss school?
And no,
Holy
the next
cow.
day they were back in school. But we would just sit around moping. So I was like, nope. Their room ended up getting a lot of smoke. So we just went to Walmart and got some T-shirts and stuff. It was October, so it wasn't too cold yet. And then my neighbor had 2 sons the same age, so the girls wore their bomber jackets, and then a group called Destiny's Child, every single one of them, and the Knowles family, within days, boxes and boxes and boxes of things came to the house, and we wanted for nothing. We had an address by then. We had the lady who sold us the house, our realtor, convinced a couple who was living in China to take their house off the market and make it a rental for a year, because we would need a year to rebuild.
Wow.
And she couldn't get them for days because of the time difference. So we stayed at our friends'. The girls stayed with them in the big house, and we stayed in the guest house. And then that Saturday, we just went around town looking, thinking that she was never going to hear from the couple in China. And they called, and they said, let them have the house. And she was like, well, their insurance check doesn't come for another week. She's like, let them have the house. And we went into that house without putting one dime down, because it takes a minute for the insurance. You know, first they had to declare the fire as a clean fire. You didn't do anything wrong, that's kind of thing. And then we had a mortgage and a rent for 10 months, and we moved back a little too early. Probably should have, but we missed the house so much. But now we have a better house.
You know, and
we're better people for it, I think.
There's such, like you said, there's such darkness and negativity in today's day and age, but the girls and their families sending you stuff, the realtor looking out, and the homeowners who let you stay in that house, that's a lot of goodness right there. And that's a lot of goodness. I think the best of what this country could be in that situation. Yeah. And that's,
I think we are, I think there are so many people like that. And I just think that those good people are quiet. Bad people are loud. They're really loud, and that's what we're hearing. That. I'll tell you, I know I talked about the Knowles, but I want to tell you a specific story. So Matthew Knowles believes in tough love. That's who he is as a boss, and I only know him as a boss, and I know him as a friend, and he believes in tough love. He will get you to do what you know you're capable of doing. The fire came on the 8th, 9th, 10th, maybe about the 11th, I got a call from Matthew. And I did not get upset that I didn't hear from Matthew before, because I know Matthew does not want to hear me crying over the phone. So he said, I didn't call before because I don't want to hear you crying on the phone. And then he said, what do you need? How much? I said, I don't know how to spend money right now. What I don't really know. He said, well, what do you need? I said, Matthew, we just moved into this rental. It's a beautiful house. There's nothing in it. The first night, so that must have been the 12th. The first night I slept for the first time in my entire life, not even during slumber parties. I always took the bed. I did not sleep on a rug. Rugs are hard to sleep on. This is really, it's rough. It's terrible. It's like, He said, okay, all right, I'm going to have Lynn call you. So Lynn calls, his executive assistant, Lynn Almanza, from Music World. She calls and she said, how many rooms? I tell her. What size beds? I tell her. Okay. About 4 or 5 hours passed by, and we had in the rental the circular driveway. I missed that circular driveway. And it was terrible during the snow, but it was so great. And there was this big truck trying to come up the driveway. So I ran it. I said, you sure you can make it? He said, yeah. We've delivered here before. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, what are you delivering? Because I just moved here and I didn't order anything. And that man opened the trunk of that big truck. And Matthew Knowles bought mattresses for every bed. And to this day, I am so grateful. It's been 10 years. We just got rid of those mattresses because you're supposed to change them every 10 years. Mattresses, you know. And then Angela Beyonce, who is Miss Tina's niece and was Destiny's Child's assistant, and we did a lot of road trips together, showed up at my house, said, where are the girls? I said, they're upstairs trying to figure out these rooms. And she took them. She just took them. She spent a whole day out with them, and she came back, and you couldn't see the truck was just packed. And she spent the entire day in that rental going from one room to the other, and she did not leave that house until the girls, both rooms, were done. What she did was she took them and just let them pick out their own things. She said after what they've been through, you can't say you have to sleep in this bed, that sheet. And everything they wanted, I was like, because I could not do anything. People don't understand. When you lose everything in a fire, it's a funeral without a coffin. What you're burying are your memories. You're burying everything you've worked for. Everything you thought was safe isn't. You start going back in your head. The fireman said there were 5 hot spots in a house that we had inspected, that we were already living there for 8 years. The biggest hotspot was in my youngest daughter's bedroom. So in my head, I'm going back, what if I was on the road with the girls? What if it was 2 o'clock in the morning? Thank God it was 11 o'clock in the morning. What if it was 2 o'clock in the morning? We'd have never gotten out. You're always a victim. You're always a victim. Like I see a fire truck still scares me because when I got home, there were 5. There were 5. Our small town only has a volunteer fire department, so it was such a big fire, they had to call all backup from all the surrounding towns. But it re-established my belief in humanity. My neighbors, who I didn't know, were looking me up and down. I'm like, what? Just trying to see your size. Okay, I'll be right back. Jeans. Oh, my daughter's sweater will fit you. She just left for college a month ago. She doesn't need that sweater. Here. Amazing. And my family in Brooklyn, when they came and blessed that new house, there were no ghosts. They brought roti and everything, and sorrel and ginger beer and curry this. It was amazing.
Are you still the little girl from Grenada?
8 years old, Yvette Noel. I'm stuck there. She is sensitive. She cries for everything. Every once in a while, she gets very brave because she hears her papa say you could do it. But for the most part, I am the girl that wants to heal the world. I want everybody to be good. I no longer crave for everybody to like me. That was something I really wanted. And I realized that not everybody's going to like you. But I think it's important that we respect each other. I have a very selfish way of living and why I love people all the time. Here's my selfish reason for loving people. I believe that every single person I come into contact with is capable of saving my life. I feel that if we closed our eyes and we didn't see people's skin color and their hair texture and all of that, that underneath the skin, it's one color. It's one color. When a doctor opens up someone's chest to massage their heart, the heart looks the same. A black heart is not black. A white heart is not white. They're all kind of red with some green veins and all kinds of stuff. And I believe that the stranger on the subway could have the stem cells I need if something happens to me. So I'm like, hey!
Yeah.
I just feel that if we thought of humanity, if we thought of other humans as that person that could come to my rescue, I think we all have to be our brother's keeper. We have to care about people a little bit more. I've fallen in love with New Zealand because I feel that that place has that energy. They have that energy of caring for each other. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love that. I hope that, with what's happening tomorrow, I hope that when people go to the polls, that they remove themselves from who they are and assume they're someone else. Assume you're gay. Assume you're an immigrant. Assume you're a college student that cannot afford to go to school. Assume that you're a woman whose rights are being threatened. Assume that you're living in a place that has a hole in the ozone layer because our planet is falling apart. And now assume that you know that there are people who feel the same way and they are powerful to change that. Their names are on this thing in front of you, whether it's paper, whether it's digital, whether it's hit a button, whether it's crank something. Their names are on there. They're on there. There are people who think like you, who really want to make a difference. The first thing I did when I became 18 was, okay, when do I get my citizenship? Because I've always been very, very involved with politics. My grandfather was really, really involved in politics. And I just felt that you cannot do anything if you didn't get involved. People just talk such crap, man. It's just, I posted something where I said, I wrote something. I said, your vote is the loudest silent voice you will have. You don't have to say anything. You just go in there. You don't say anything. But you're making such noise with your vote. I cannot believe that I had to go through a process of learning every rule in America that Americans don't even know. I had to know every single amendment by heart. I had to study and study and study. That's how much I wanted to be an American. That's how much I wanted to have an American passport, have the right to vote. And you're born into this country. You're born into this country, and you are going to sit home on the 6th of November? I'm sorry. That is just, like Oprah said, voting is not just your right. It's your responsibility. You are responsible for the next thing that happens to you, your neighbors' children, those children's children. What we vote for will determine what this country looks like years and years from now. I'm going to be turning to grain of sand, okay? At some point, we all are, and you want to know that you have done something to leave a better world behind.
For sure.
I hope people go to the polls tomorrow.
For sure.
I hope so, man.
And, I love seeing that early voting is up by a lot.
Yes.
And I love seeing that there's a lot of young people going out and voting.
Yeah. Do you know what yesterday was?
It was 14 days until your birthday.
And 10 years ago, a man named Barack Obama
Yes.
was the president-elect.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you've come a long way from going to see Mr. Fred.
Exactly.
And writing down those lists. You've written a lot of things down. You crossed off a lot of things, and you made it a long, long way from Grenada, but you're still that girl. And thank you so much for coming all this way up here to the Upper West Side and sharing your story.
I'm so honored to be here. You guys are amazing.
Thank you very much.
What you do is so amazing. Thank you for including me. Thank you for giving me a seat at the table.
Thanks everyone for listening to this new episode of Waste Time with It's The Real. Jeff, if people want to find out more about us, I'm Eric, you are Jeff. Together, we're It's The Real. If people want to find out more about this podcast, it's called A Waste of Time with It's The Real. And we have our other podcast called Two Jews and Two Black Jews Review the Movies. People want to find out anything about us, Jeff, anything that's going on with It's The Real, where can they Go!
You can always go to ItsTheReal.com, ItsTheReal.com, ItsTheReal.com. You can also go to iTunes, search for A Waste of Time with It's The Real, or go to SoundCloud.com/A Waste of Time, or SoundCloud.com/2Jews2Black Dudes, or if you're looking on Spotify, because everybody is now going to Spotify thanks to Joe Budden.
Yes.
Search for us on Spotify, A Waste of Time with It's The Real.
Yeah. Jeff, people like the internet.
Yeah.
People like to socialize on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Where can people socialize? With us.
You can go to blackplanet.com. No, you can go to Twitter at It's The Real, Facebook at It's The Real, Instagram at It's The Real.
Are we on Reddit still?
We are on Reddit still. We didn't delete the profile.
All right,
so
cool.
It's The Real on there.
There you go.
And yeah, just go anywhere. It's The Real.
All right, great. I just want to do a quick plug for our music, Jeff. We have an album out there called Teddy Bear Fresh, and I was listening to it just yesterday on the train. Guess what?
Still good?
Still good.
Oh, thank God.
People should go check that out on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Audio Mac, SoundCloud, wherever you can find it. It's The Real, one word, no apostrophe, no spaces.
Black Planet.
Jeff, we like to shout out all the people who are good to us by spreading the word about this very podcast of ours. We appreciate the fact that you guys love us so much that you are willing to put your names out there, your reputations out there, and rock for your boys. It's The Real. So, Jeff, who do you want to shout out today?
I want to shout out Raven, Ravy B, the photographer who was killing it on tour, the On the Run tour for Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Right.
I also want to shout out Sophie Ash,
All right.
who used to work within that camp as well. And I want to shout out Beyonce. Yeah.
I would like to shout Jay-Z and Lenny S. and Law Parker and Ty Ty and everybody that we saw at Lenny S.'s Halloween party, which was a great time. But for the purposes of this episode, Jeff, I want to shout out our friend down there in Port St. Lucie, beatmaker. Lauren. Shout out to Lauren, who is such a great dude and a great supporter of us, but the one thing that sets him high above everybody else, he has every incarnation of It's The Real shirts. The Lakers t-shirt, the Rockefeller t-shirt, the Rough Riders t-shirt, the AKA t-shirts. He has them all.
Oh, we should send him a We The Best one.
Damn it. We just sent out a thing to him yesterday.
Yeah.
All right, Lauren. Look out for another package coming to you soon. And for those of you who have not gotten your t-shirts, go to itsthereal.com/shop right now and grab yours. We will send it to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.
Whenever. Yeah.
Whenever. Man, I can't believe that, our walls have finally
Caved in.
All right, quick little update on the wall. Our guys here are looking very confused. So I wonder if
they're making a duplex.
No, I wonder if it's going to be a bigger problem than it already was.
Well, speaking of walls, fuck Donald Trump.
Yes.
Fuck Donald Trump.
Yes.
Fuck Donald Trump.
Yes.
Tear down that wall.
Yes. Just like this wall is being torn down right here.
And vote November 6th.
Tomorrow. Go get it. As always, guys, not for real, for real.
Sure.
We'll see you guys next week.